Time moved like a quiet river. The stars stayed in their places. The planets kept turning. But the galaxy was not the same. Fear had ruled for so long that when it finally broke, no one knew what to do at first. Some fought on, out of habit. Some hid, still afraid it was a trick. But most, slowly, carefully, began to build. On Earth, cities rose not just with steel and glass, but with hope. Schools taught not only math and science, but peace, history, and shared survival. Children learned about the Zarn, the Andar, and others not as aliens, but as neighbors. Flags of different worlds flew side by side in public squares. The Titan, now called the Guardian, still floated in orbit. It no longer carried the same scars. Its hull had been repaired, its weapons updated, its systems refreshed. But it was no longer alone. Around it, a small fleet grew, not for war, but for watch. Ships from Earth, from Zarn colonies, from Andar traders, all flew under the Alliance banner, a circle of stars around a single flame. Captain Paul Dawson did not command it anymore. He had stepped down 2 years earlier, not because he was weak, not because he was tired, but because he knew the future could not rest on one man, one ship, one war. He lived in a small house on the coast of what was once California. Every morning, he walked the beach, barefoot, feeling the sand and the wind. He kept a photo of the crew on the wall: Pete, Lisa, Greg, Rick, Amy, and the others. He spoke their names when he thought of them. Sometimes he missed the quiet of space, the hum of the engine, the glow of the stars through the glass. But he did not regret leaving, because peace needed more than soldiers. It needed farmers, teachers, builders, doctors. It needed normal life. One morning, a knock came at the door. He opened it to find Amy Foster. Older now, her hair streaked with gray, but her eyes still sharp. "Mind if I come in?" she asked. He smiled. Always. She sat at the kitchen table, poured herself water. "We found something," she said. "Another Vathari fleet?" he asked, half joking. "No, something else. Out near the Orion Void. A signal. Not Vathari. Not any language we know." Dawson sat down. "How long?" "Picked it up 3 days ago. Weak, repeating. Not a distress call. More like a message." "What does it say?" "We don't know. But it's not random. It has structure, math, prime numbers, the kind of signal we used to send when we wanted to contact aliens." Dawson looked out the window. The sea was calm. Birds flew over the waves. "You think it's real?" "I think it's worth checking," she said. "I want you to come with me." He turned. "I'm not captain anymore." "No," she said, "but you're the one who taught us not to run from the unknown. You're the one who stood when no one else would. This might be the next step. Not war. First contact, real first contact." He was quiet for a long time. Then he asked, "Who's on the Guardian now?" "Rick Malone," she said. "He's good. But he wants you there." "We all do." Dawson walked to the wall, looked at the photo. "What if it's a trap?" he said. "What if it's not?" she replied. 2 weeks later, the Guardian launched. Not with weapons hot, not with shields up, but with open sensors, clean signals. A message of peace sent ahead. The journey took 6 weeks. Deep space was empty. No stations, no ships, just silence and stars. When they reached the source, they found not a planet, not a ship, but a satellite. Small, old, covered in strange symbols. It floated near a dead world, circling slowly, still sending its signal after who knows how many years. The Guardian. Approached with care, a team boarded it. Scientists, linguists, engineers. They found no weapons, no traps, only data. Stored in a crystal core, not metal or silicon. After 3 days, they cracked the code. The message was simple. We were here. We saw the dark. We left this light so others would know they are not alone. No name, no date, no image, just that. The crew stood in silence when they read it. Then slowly, they began to respond. Using math, light, and sound, they sent a reply. We are here. We saw your light. We are not alone. Dawson stood on the observation deck, watching the satellite drift away, carrying their answer into the void. Do you think anyone will get it? Rick asked. Maybe, Dawson said. Or maybe it doesn't matter. What matters is that we answered. That night, the Guardian held a small gathering. Not a party, not a ceremony. Just people from different worlds sharing food, stories, and quiet. Amy sat beside Dawson. You ever think about how it started? All the time, he said. Mars, the Vathari, that first shot. And now? She asked. Now we're not just surviving, he said. We're reaching out. That's bigger than any battle. They stayed in that system for 2 more weeks, studying the satellite, sending signals, learning. Then they left. On the way home, Dawson recorded a short message. This is Paul Dawson. Not as a captain, not as a soldier, but as a person. We found something out there, not a threat, not a weapon, a message. From a people we never knew, they wanted to be remembered. They wanted someone to know they existed. And we answered. Because that's what we do now. We listen. We respond. We reach out. The galaxy is big. Maybe we're not the first. Maybe we won't be the last. But as long as we keep answering, we're never truly alone. He sent it to every world in the Alliance. People watched it in homes, schools, ships, and colonies. Some cried, some smiled, some looked up at the stars and waved. Back on Earth, a new school opened. It was not named after a war hero or a president. It was called First Light. And on the wall, in simple letters, it read, We are here. We are not alone. Dawson never gave another speech. He walked the beach. He grew a garden. He wrote letters to old crewmates, and every night he looked up. Not for enemies, not for war, but for light. Because now he knew. The galaxy was not just a place of danger. It was a place of voices, and all it took was one ship, one act, one answer, to begin the conversation. The shock wave from the collapsing forge pushed the fleet through the nebula like a hand shoving them to safety. Alarms rang on every ship. Lights flickered. Crews held on as the Titan and the others tumbled through the storm of gas and gravity. Inside, the Titan, Captain Paul Dawson gripped the edge of the command console. His knuckles were white. His eyes stayed on the rear screen, watching the black hole swallow what was left of Orbital Forge X9. The fireball faded. The light dimmed. Silence returned. They had done it, but no one cheered. Not yet. Damage report, Dawson said, his voice calm. Amy Foster scanned her board. Shields are gone, engines at 60%. Hull breach on deck 4, sealed. We lost 2 drones, and we lost the Ander freighter, Skyrunner. No survivors. Dawson nodded slowly. Mark them on the wall. She did not need to ask what he meant. Another name would be added to the metal behind the bridge. Another face remembered. Rick Malone turned from his station. All fleet ships are responding. The Zarn cruiser is damaged but moving. The defector corvettes made it out. We're all still here. Mostly. Dawson took a breath. Then we go home. Home? Amy asked. Do we even have one? He looked at her. We do. As long as Earth still stands. The fleet turned, one by one, and jumped to hyperspace. They did not go straight to the solar system. Instead, they stopped at a quiet asteroid base near the Orion Belt. It was neutral ground, used by traders and refugees, a place to rest, to repair, to remember. Over the next 10 days, the ships docked, shared supplies, and fixed what they could. The Zarn warriors helped patch the Titan's armor. The Ander engineers shared fuel and spare parts. Even the Vathari defectors worked in silence, proving they were no longer enemies. At night, crews gathered in the common hall. They did not speak the same language, but they shared food, tools, and stories. Some drew maps of their homes. Others played music from old worlds. Children, those who had survived the war, ran and laughed, not knowing yet what had been lost. Dawson walked among them. He did not wear a badge. He did not demand respect. He just listened. He saw the pain in their eyes, the hope, too. Amy sat with a Zarn commander named Vrel. He had deep scars across his face, one in slave pits. "We fought for years," he said through a translator. "But we never won a battle. You showed us how." Amy shook her head. "We didn't win alone. You were there. You fought. Because you gave us a chance," Vrel said. On the 7th day, a signal came, not from Earth, from the Vathari High Command. It was not a threat, not a demand. It was a question. "Why do you keep fighting?" No name, no title, just the message, repeated in human and 10 other languages. Dawson called a meeting. Captains, leaders, and crew heads gathered in the hall. Some wanted to ignore it, some wanted to send a missile in reply. Amy stood up. "We should answer, not with guns, with words." Dawson agreed. He recorded a short message. Just him, in uniform, standing in front of the Titan's flag. "You ask why we fight," he said. "We fight because we choose to, not because we are told, not because we are afraid. We fight for our homes, for our families, for the right to live free. You took that from many. We are giving it back." He sent it. No one knew if they would reply. But 2 days later, another signal came. Shorter this time. "The fleet near Sirius has stood down." That was all. No surrender. No peace, but no war either. On Earth, President Laura Evans stood before the world. She played Dawson's message. Then she said, "The forge is gone. The Vathari are silent. We are still here." People cried. They hugged. They lit candles. In the streets, but Dawson did not feel safe. He knew the Vathari would not vanish. They were too proud, too strong. But they were hurt. And for the first time, they were unsure. He called the fleet together. "We stop hiding," he said. "We go to Sirius. We see what they mean." The ships agreed. They jumped again. When they arrived, the Sirius system was quiet. The Vathari fleet was there, 12 warships, but they did not attack. They held position. No weapons powered. No fighters launched. A small shuttle left the command ship. It flew slowly toward the Titan. Dawson allowed it to dock. The door opened. A single Vathari stepped out. Not in armor. Not with weapons. He wore a simple gray suit. His eyes were tired. He spoke through a device. "I am Corin. I was once a general. I am not anymore." Dawson crossed his arms. "Why are you here?" "To talk," Corin said. "You broke the forge. You broke our chain. Many systems have left. Colonies are free. Even some of our own ships have stopped obeying." He looked at Dawson. "We were taught that strength is power, that fear keeps order. But you are strong, and you do not rule. You fight, and you protect. Why? Because that's what we are," Dawson said. "We don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to live in it." Corin was silent for a long time. Then he said, "If we do not attack, will you leave us in peace?" Dawson did not answer at once. He thought of Pete, of Lisa, of all the dead. "If you do not attack," he said, "we will not either. But if you come for Earth again, the Titan will be waiting." Corin nodded. He left the same way he came. The Vathari fleet turned and jumped to hyperspace. Gone, not destroyed, but gone, back. On the Titan, the crew waited for orders. Amy looked at Dawson. "What now?" "Now," he said. We go home, we rebuild, we remember, and we watch the stars. The fleet broke apart. Some ships went to their homes. Some stayed with the Titan, now called the Guardian Fleet, when the Titan finally reached Earth. It did not fly in like a conqueror. It moved slow. It docked at the lunar station. Dawson stepped out in silence. Reporters shouted. Crowds waved. Flags flew. But he walked past them. He went to a quiet hill outside New Geneva. There a small stone stood with two names, Pete Morales and Lisa Tran. He placed a single metal star at the base. "We made it," he said. The war was not over, but for now there was peace, and in the sky above the stars burned on. The Titan floated in the dark between stars, its engines quiet, its weapons cooled. The battle at Epsilon Eridani was over, but the ship bore the marks of war. Scorch lines ran across its hull. One rail cannon was still offline. The starboard shield generator flickered now and then, like a tired heart. The crew moved through the halls with purpose, fixing, cleaning, remembering. Two of their own were gone. Pete Morales, the drone pilot, had died when a plasma beam hit his control pod. Lisa Tran, the comms officer, had stayed at her station too long to send the final attack signal. She never made it to the escape bunkers. Their names were carved into the metal wall behind the bridge, not with fancy letters, just simple, deep cuts. A reminder, a promise. Captain Paul Dawson stood in front of it, hands behind his back. He did not cry. He did not speak. He just stood there, feeling the weight of command. Amy Foster found him later. "We got the data from the Vathari ship," she said. "It's real. Orbital Forge X9 is their main factory. No fleet, no empire. Without it, they can't build new warships." Dawson turned. "Then that's our next target." "It's deep in the Carina Nebula," Amy said. "Thick gas, low visibility, hard to navigate. And it's guarded, heavy." "Nothing worth doing is easy," Dawson said. "If we destroy that forge, we don't just win a battle, we break their power." Amy nodded. "I'll run the numbers. We'll need every drone, every weapon, and we'll need help." "Help?" Dawson asked. "The other species," she said. "The Zarn, the Ondar, even some rogue Vathari. They've been sending signals. They want to fight. They just need a leader." Dawson thought for a moment. Humanity had always fought alone, but maybe it didn't have to be that way. "Then we give them one," he said. "Send the message. Tell them what we found. Tell them where we're going, and tell them, if they want freedom, they need to stand with us." Amy left to prepare the transmission. The signal went out, simple, strong, repeated in 12 languages. It carried the data, the plan, and one clear line. The time to fight is now. Across the galaxy, it was heard. On a mining moon in the Zeta system, Zarn warriors dropped their tools and raised their claws. They had served the Vathari for 50 years. Now they took up stolen weapons and boarded a supply ship. On the Ander trade ring, captains met in secret. They loaded their freighters with explosives, turned off their transponders, and jumped to hyperspace. Even among the Vathari, some began to question. Low-ranking officers, tired of endless war, sent quiet replies. "We will not fire on your ship." Hope was spreading. Back on the Titan, the crew worked harder than ever. Engineers fixed the damaged cannon. Medics trained new fighters. Rick Malone mapped the route to Carina, avoiding Vathari patrols and dead zones. Dawson walked the ship every day. He talked to the crew. He listened. He remembered names. He did not act like a hero. He acted like a captain. 3 weeks passed. The Titan was ready. But they were not alone. As the ship prepared to jump, sensors picked up incoming signals, not enemy. Friendly. One by one, ships appeared from hyperspace, a Zarn battlecruiser, old but strong, its hull painted with red marks of past fights. 3 Ander freighters packed with drones and fuel. 2 small Vathari corvettes, their flags, changed to a white star. Defectors. Then more came, a mining tug with a mounted cannon, a scout ship from the outer colonies, even a broken repair vessel dragging itself forward on one engine. In total, 23 ships gathered behind the Titan, not a fleet. Not yet, but a beginning. On the bridge, Rick smiled. They came. Amy looked at the screen, her eyes wet. They believe in us. Dawson said nothing at first. He just watched the fleet grow. Then he opened the comms channel. This is Captain Paul Dawson of the Us Titan. You came not because we asked, but because you want to be free. Today, we do not fight for Earth. We do not fight for one species. We fight for all who have lived in fear. We go to Karina, we find the forge, and we destroy it. A pause. Stay close. Follow our lead, and when we fire, fire with us. The time of silence is over. The fleet moved as one. The jump to hyperspace was rough. The nebula's gas disrupted the field. The Titan shook. Lights went out for a moment, then, with a flash, they arrived. Karina was a storm of color and dust. Red clouds swirled like fire. Lightning cracked between floating rocks. Visibility was low. Sensors were blind in places. This is worse than I thought, Rick said. Perfect, Dawson said. They won't see us coming. They moved slowly, using the gas clouds to hide. The fleet spread out in a wide arc, staying in silent mode. No signals, no bright lights, just motion. After 6 hours, the forge came into view. It was massive. A ring of black metal, twice the size of Earth's moon, spinning slowly around a captured neutron star. Beams of energy pulsed from the core to the outer arms. Ships moved in and out like ants. That thing builds warships every day, Amy said. If we don't stop it, they'll send 10 fleets after us. Then we don't give them the chance, Dawson said. The plan was simple. The Titan would attack head-on, drawing fire. The Zarn cruiser and Andar freighters would hit. The outer defenses. The defector corvettes would sneak in and disable the control nodes. And a small team, led by Chief Engineer Greg Turner, would board the forge and plant fusion charges at the core. We have one shot, Dawson said to the team. If the charges don't go off, we fail. If they do, the neutron star might collapse. That means we run. Fast, Greg nodded. I'll make sure they blow. The attack began at dawn, though in space there was no sun, only the glow of distant stars. The Titan fired first. A rail slug tore through a defense tower. Explosions lit the outer ring. Alarms sounded across the forge. The fleet surged forward. Zarn ships opened fire with heavy cannons. Andar drones swarmed the turrets. The corvettes slipped through the chaos, cutting power lines and hacking systems. The Vathari fought back. Fighter pods launched in waves. Energy beams cut through the gas. A freighter exploded, torn apart by a hidden mine. We're losing them, Amy said. Stay focused, Dawson said. Get Greg to the core. The boarding pod, small and fast, broke from the Titan and flew toward the forge. It dodged fire, hit the hull, and latched on. Inside, Greg and 4 others moved through dark halls. They wore armor, carried cutters, and charges. They did not speak. They did not stop. They reached the core chamber. It was huge, filled with blue light and the hum of power. Tubes ran everywhere, pumping energy from the neutron star. Plant them here, here, and here, Greg said. Timer set to 5 minutes. They worked fast. Back on the Titan, the battle raged. A Vathari cruiser rammed a Zarn ship. An Andar freighter crashed into a tower, taking out a whole battery of guns. The Titan took 3 hits. Shields failed. Fire broke out on Deck 5. We can't hold much longer, Amy said. Just a few more minutes, Dawson said. Where's Greg? Then, a signal. Charges set. We're out. Pull back, Dawson shouted. All ships, retreat now! The fleet turned. They flew hard, fast, through the storm of gas and fire. Behind them, the forge shook. Then, light. A flash. Brighter. Then a star tore through the ring. The neutron star wobbled. The structure cracked. In seconds, the whole thing collapsed inward, forming a small black hole that swallowed the remains. The shockwave pushed the fleet forward. They had done it. Orbital Forge X9 was gone. The Vathari lost their factory. And the galaxy felt the change. The galaxy was vast and cold, and for a long time, the Vathari Dominion had ruled it without question. Their ships, dark and sharp like blades, moved from star to star, taking what they wanted. No one fought back. No one dared. When a planet refused to obey, it was burned. When a fleet tried to resist, it was crushed. The Vathari did not negotiate. They did not bargain. They simply came and they took. For centuries, this was the way of things. Then came Earth. Humanity had only just begun to reach the stars. They had colonies on Mars, research stations near Jupiter, and a few deep space outposts near the edge of their solar system. They were not the strongest, they were not the fastest, but they were many, and they were stubborn. When the Vathari arrived, they expected silence. Instead, they got a message from the United Earth Coalition. We will not surrender. The Vathari laughed. Their war fleet, made of 36 warships, entered the solar system like a storm. They destroyed the outer defense platforms with ease. They burned the Mars base to glass. They hovered near Earth, waiting for the people to kneel. But Earth did not kneel. Deep in the orbit of Saturn, hidden behind a field of ice rocks, a ship, powered up for the first time. Its name was the Titan. It was not beautiful. It was not sleek. It was a heavy, blocky warship, built for war, not for show. Its hull was thick, layered with reactive armor and heat-dissipating plates. Its weapons were not energy beams or plasma fire, but rail cannons, long tubes that fired. Solid metal slugs at nearly a sixth of the speed of light. When those slugs hit, they did not explode. They passed through ships like knives through paper, tearing through decks, engines, and crews in a single shot. The Titan was also fast. Not in the way of Vathari ships, which flickered through space with strange drives, but in a human way. Strong, steady, and relentless. It had a new kind of shield, one that pulsed with energy, absorbing and redirecting damage. And at its core was a fusion reactor that could run for years without refueling. This ship was humanity's last hope. On the bridge, Captain Paul Dawson stood with his hands behind his back. He was not a tall man, nor a loud one. His voice was calm, his eyes steady. He had spent 30 years in the Space Navy, first on patrol ships, then on carriers, and now, finally, on the most powerful warship ever built by human hands. He looked at the view screen. The Vathari fleet was near Mars. Their command ship, a massive black wedge, floated at the center like a spider in a web. "Are we ready?" Dawson asked. Lieutenant Amy Foster, the tactical officer, checked her console. "Weapons online. Shields at full. Engines stable. We can jump to Mars orbit in 12 minutes. "Then do it," Dawson said. No one cheered. No one smiled. The crew of the Titan knew what was coming. They had trained for this. They had dreamed of it. Some had even died building this ship in secret, under the ice of Europa, away from Vathari spies. The Titan turned, its engines glowing blue, and shot forward. It did not go straight to Mars. Instead, it circled behind the planet, using its mass to hide its approach. The Vathari scanners were strong, but they were not perfect. They looked for energy spikes, for warp trails, for the usual signs of movement. The Titan gave them none. It moved quietly, its heat masked, its signals blocked. On the bridge, the air was tense. Every eye was on the screens. Every hand was Ready. They don't see us, said Ensign Rick Malone, the sensor operator. Their focus is on Earth. They're preparing to land troops. Good, Dawson said. Let them think they've already won. He looked at Amy. Target there. Command ship, Rail Cannon 1. Fire when ready. Amy nodded. Her fingers danced over the console. Target locked. Charging Rail 1. Firing in 10, 9. The Vathari still did not know. Their commander, Kor Vex, sat in his dark chamber, watching live feeds from Earth's surface. He saw cities in fear, governments in chaos, people running. He smiled. This was how it always ended. Then, without warning, the sky above Mars split open. A streak of light, too fast to see, cut through the void. It hit the third frigate, in the Vathari line. The ship did not explode. It simply broke apart, torn in half by a force it could not understand. The metal slug kept going, smashing through a second frigate, then a third, before vanishing into space. Silence. Then chaos. Alarms screamed on every Vathari ship. Commanders shouted. Gunners turned their weapons toward the source. But the Titan was already moving. It fired again. This time, a swarm of small drones shot out from its sides, fast, smart, and deadly. They zipped through the fleet, locking onto engines and weapons. One by one, Vathari ships began to spin out of control. Shields up, Dawson said. Evasive pattern delta. The Titan rolled to the side, just as a beam of green energy cut through the space where it had been. The Vathari had found it. They're targeting us, Amy said. Multiple energy weapons charging. Hold course, Dawson said. Let them come. The Titan's shields flared as the first beam hit. The ship shook. Lights flickered. But the shield held. They're using plasma lances, Amy said. Not full power. Testing us. Then let's give them a real fight, Dawson said. Fire Rail 2. Target the command ship. The second shot fired. This time, the slug hit the side of the Vathari command vessel. Armor cracked. Internal explosions lit up the hull. The great black ship listed to one side, struggling to stabilize. The Vathari fleet broke formation. Some turned to flee. Others fired wildly, their shots missing by miles. The Titan was too fast, too hard to hit. They're retreating, Rick said, his voice rising. They're actually pulling back. Dawson didn't smile. He knew this was only the beginning. Do not pursue, he said. We've made our point. Let them run. Let them tell the others what happened. The Titan powered down its weapons. The drones returned. The crew exhaled. They had done it. They had faced the unbeatable Empire, and they had not only survived, they had struck first. Back on Earth, the news spread fast. The Vathari had been beaten back. A single human ship had taken on an entire fleet, and won. People poured into the streets. They cried, they cheered, they hugged. For the first time in years, they felt something they had almost forgotten. Hope. In the command centers, leaders met in secret. They had not believed the Titan would work. They had thought it was a waste of time, a last gamble. Now, they looked at Paul Dawson and his crew like legends. But Dawson wasn't thinking about fame. He sat in his quarters, looking at a photo of his daughter Claire, taken before the war began. She was 9 then. Now she was on a shelter station, near Neptune, safe, but far away. He touched the glass. "We're not done, sweetheart," he whispered. This was just the first fight, and he was right. Because on a dark world far away, the Vathari High Command had received the report. They read the data. They saw the damage. They watched the footage of the Titan moving like a ghost, striking like a hammer. And for the first time in centuries, the Vathari felt something unfamiliar. Fear. A new fleet was ordered. Bigger, faster, deadlier, and a new commander was chosen. General Dralnek, a warrior who had crushed entire species without mercy. His orders were simple. Find the Titan. Destroy it. Burn Earth to ash. But he did not know what he was facing. He did not know that humanity did not fight like other species. They did not give up. They did not run, and when they were backed into a corner, they did not surrender. They built a battleship and sent it to war. Cole stood at the edge of the canyon on Mars, the wind howling around him. Dust swirled in the air, red and sharp. Below, the spiral lay half buried in ice and stone. It was bigger than the others, twice the size. Its black surface cracked in, places like old glass. And from those cracks, a low hum pulsed into the ground, into the air, into Cole's bones. It wasn't just sound, it was rhythm. And it was changing, not random, not repeating, evolving, like a voice learning to speak. Lisa stood beside him, her helmet recording everything. "It's not sending the false light signal," she said, voice tight. "No warp lure, no trap. This is different." Cole nodded. He had played the signal through his headset a dozen times. The tone didn't match the ones from deep space. It was slower, softer, and buried in the wave. There was a pattern. Prime numbers again, but this time in a sequence that matched human. Neural rhythms even more closely. It was as if it knew who was listening. "What if it's not a door?" Cole said. "What if it's a message?" "Then who's it for?" Lisa asked. "Us." Behind them, the small team set up the drones. Greg checked the power lines. The Zarn drone, Vlix's remote unit, scanned the air for energy shifts. No one spoke much. The hum made it hard to think. It wasn't loud, but it filled the mind, like a song you couldn't forget. Cole took a deep breath. "We don't close it. Not yet." Lisa turned. "Cole, we can't risk it. If it opens, it's already awake," he said. "Closing it now might make it fight. We need to understand it first." She hesitated, then nodded. 1 hour. If the signal grows stronger, we seal it. No debate." Cole agreed. They sent the first drone down. It hovered over the spiral, lights on, sensors running. For a few minutes, nothing happened. Then, as the drone recorded the surface, the hum shifted. It didn't get louder. It got clearer, like a voice tuning itself. Then, from the speaker on the drone's feed, a sound came. Not words, but tones, rising and falling in a way that felt familiar. Cole froze. He played it again and again. Then he ran it through the pattern analyzer. The result made his heart stop. The sequence matched a lullaby, his mother's lullaby, the one she sang when he was a child, the one no one else knew, the one he hadn't heard in 20 years. "That's not possible," Greg said, staring at the screen. "It's not just that," Cole whispered. "Look." He pulled up the brainwave data, the pattern the signal followed. It wasn't just close to human thought. It was close to his thought, his neural signature, the one recorded during a medical scan after an accident in 2149, a scan that had never been published, a file buried in a private database. "It knows me," Cole said. Lisa looked at him. "What?" "This isn't random. It's not calling anyone. It's calling me." No one spoke. The drone hovered. The hum returned to its slow pulse. Then, from the crack in the spiral, a light rose, not bright, not hot, soft, blue, like moonlight. On water. It formed a shape in the air, faint, shimmering, a face, not human. Not alien, but familiar. Cole stepped back. Lisa grabbed his arm. "Cole, don't." But he didn't move away. The face changed, became clearer. It looked like his father, who had died when Cole was 10. "No," he said. "This is a trick. It could be projecting," Lisa said. "Using your memories, your pain, to get close." But Cole wasn't sure. The figure didn't speak, didn't move, just looked at him. Then, in the air beside it, symbols formed. Not words, not letters, but math. Prime numbers again. Then a date. 7, the year the first silent echo was detected. Then, another. 8-9, the year Earth made first contact with the Tau Ceti. Then one more. 203. This year, and below it, a line. You were always the listener. Cole's breath caught. It's not attacking, he said. It's not even trying to get out. It's reaching. Reaching for what? Greg asked. Understanding. Lisa shook her head. Cole, we don't know what it is. It could be learning how to mimic us, how to trick us. The other spirals took ships. This one might be smarter. Or maybe the others weren't like this, Cole said. Maybe they were broken, damaged. This one isn't sending false lights. It's sending truth. In the only way it can. He took a step forward. Cole, no! Lisa shouted. But he kept going. He stopped at the rim of the spiral. He took off his headset, and he spoke. I hear you. The hum stopped. For a full minute, there was silence. Then, slowly, the light changed. The face faded. The symbols vanished, and the hum returned. But different. Not a warning. Not a trap. A reply. The same lullaby. But this time, with one new tone at the end, a question. Cole closed his eyes. He had spent his life listening to the quiet. He had saved lives by hearing what others missed. But now, for the first time, he wondered, had he been the one being listened to? Had this thing, this being, been waiting for him, not to take, but to be heard? He opened his eyes. We don't seal it, he said. Not yet. We study it, we talk to it, we learn. That's insane, Greg said. We don't even know if it's alive. It responded to my voice, Cole said. It knows my past. It knows my mind. That's not machine work, that's connection. Lisa looked at the spiral, then at Cole. If it opens, if it takes us, then we were never safe, Cole said. But if we run now, we'll never know the truth. And the next time, someone else will follow the false light and vanish. She didn't answer. The team stood in silence. Then, one by one, they lowered their tools. They would stay. They would watch. They would listen. Cole knelt at the edge of the spiral. He placed his hand on the cold ground, and for the first time, he sang, softly, the lullaby. The hum answered, not with force, not with fear, but with harmony, and in that moment, under the red sky of Mars, the quiet human and the silent being spoke. Not in words, not in war, but in sound, in memory, in hope, and far. Away, in the dark between stars, other spirals waited. Some were doors, some were traps, but maybe, just maybe, some were voices, waiting for someone to listen. And Cole Evans, the man no one heard, had finally found someone who had been waiting to be heard. Cole Evans sat alone in the small observation room on Station Epsilon 9. The lights were low. The stars outside the window were sharp and cold. In his hand was a data chip, small, black, full of truth. It held every scan, every signal, every warning from the last few weeks. He had copied it 100 times, sent it to 100 places, and now the galaxy was starting to listen. Not fast, not loud, but it was listening. Ships had been stopped. Fleets had changed course. 3 more spiral sites had been found, near Theta 9, on the edge of the free colonies, and floating in the dead zone beyond Orion's belt. Each one silent, each one humming that same deep, slow sound. Each one a door, and Cole was the one closing them. He didn't do it with weapons. He didn't send armies. He used sound. The reversed signal. The lock pattern. Small drones, sent in silence, playing the right tone at the right time. One by one, the cracks in space closed. The hum faded. The danger paused. But he knew it wasn't over. The beings on the other side were still there, waiting, patient. They didn't rush. They didn't attack. They just existed. And they fed on those who followed the false lights, signals that looked like safe paths, like lost ships calling for help, like easy routes through space. Lies. All of them. Bait. Cole had stopped calling them monsters. They weren't evil. They weren't even aware, not in the way humans were. They were like storms, like quakes, natural forces that didn't hate you. They just destroyed you if you got too close. And the galaxy had been walking right into them. The door opened behind him. Lisa Tran walked in. She wore a simple jacket now, not a uniform. The Orion was still grounded and she had stepped down as captain. "You're still here?" she said. "Couldn't sleep," Cole said. She sat beside him. "I got a message from Vlix, the Zarn scientist." Cole turned. "What did they say?" "The site at Theta 9 is sealed. The spiral is dark." "They said, thank you." Cole looked down. He didn't say anything. Lisa touched his arm. "You've saved thousands, maybe millions. That's not nothing." "It's not enough," he said. "We've found 5 spirals. What if there are 50, 500? We don't even know where they come from." "Then we keep looking." "And who? The big fleets won't come. The Vraxians still think it's a myth. The Zarn only act in secret. The Tau Ceti send quiet warnings, but they won't fight. Then we make our own fleet." Cole looked at her. "What?" "Not a war fleet. A watch fleet. Small ships. Fast. Smart. Crewed by people who listen, not shoot. We find the spirals. We seal the doors. We warn the others." Cole thought about it. A network, not of soldiers, of watchers, like him. "We'd need resources," he said. "Ships, data, support." "We start small," Lisa said. "Like you did. One probe, one signal, one truth." Cole smiled. Just a little. The next morning, he stood in the main hall of the station. A small crowd had gathered. Humans, a few Tau Ceti, even a Zarn drone. News of the sealed sites had spread. People were scared. But they were also curious. Cole didn't shout. He didn't wear armor. He just stood there, holding a small speaker. "My name is Cole Evans," he said. "I'm not a hero. I'm not a commander. I was the one no one listened to. But I listened, and what I heard saved lives." He played the hum, the false light signal, then the reversed tone, the lock. "This is real," he said. "The spirals are real. The beings beyond them are real. And if we keep sending ships into the dark without looking, more will vanish. Not because they're weak, because they didn't know." He looked at the crowd. "I'm starting a project. We call it the Quiet Watch. We find the signals. We map the doors. We close them. We warn others. We don't fight. We watch. We listen. We protect." He paused. "If you can hear silence, if you notice what others miss, if you care more about truth than noise, then you're already one of us." No one clapped. Not at first. Then a hand rose. It was Greg, the tech. Then Lisa. Then a young woman from Earth's deep scan team. Then a Tau Ceti scientist. Then the Zarn drone. One by one, they joined. Within days, the Quiet Watch had 20 members. Within weeks, 100. They used old probes, broken ships, borrowed sensors. They didn't need power. They needed care. Cole trained them, not in combat, in patience, in listening, in seeing the small things, the delay in a signal, the wrong star in a photo, the silence where sound should be. Months passed. They found 7 more spirals. All were sealed. Then, one day, a new signal came. Not from deep space, from Earth. A deep space array in Antarctica picked it up. Faint. Old. Buried under noise. Cole ran it through the filters. His blood went cold. It was the same hum. But this one wasn't near a dead planet or a forgotten system. It was coming from below the surface of Mars, under the ice, deep in a canyon no one had explored, and it was growing stronger. Cole called the team. Lisa came. Greg came. Even Vlix sent a drone. They took a small ship. No name, no flag. Just a crew of 5 and a load of sensors. When they reached Mars, they landed near the canyon. Drones went down first. Cameras lit the dark, and there it was, bigger than the others, half buried in rock. A spiral. But this one was cracked, and from the crack, a sound. Low. Steady. Calling. Not a trap. A call. Like it was waking up. Like it was waiting for someone. Cole stood at the edge of the canyon, looking down. This wasn't just a door. This was a beginning or an end. He turned to the team. "We seal it," he said. "Same as the others." Lisa nodded. "But what if it's not just a lock? What if it's a message? What if it's trying to talk?" Cole didn't answer. He looked at the spiral. The hum rose slightly, as if it knew he was there, as if it had been waiting for the quiet human all along. And in that moment, Cole understood. They had been so busy closing doors, they never asked who was knocking. He took a breath and stepped closer.